Hey guys, how's it going? It's Dam Noah here at Dam Studio, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create this experimental grunge design in Photoshop. One thing I'd encourage a lot of you creators to do is just be experimental, mess around with it. Don't be afraid to adapt and adjust along the way, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to get the best design possible. So let's jump right into it. Going over to my other document here, this was the base design file I originally started with. Our goal is to turn it more into something like this. So in order to do that, I'm going to convert this image to a smart object. We're going to go up into our filter gallery here, and we're going to just select the grain here, and we're going to set it to enlarged. I've kept the intensity at around 40, contrast at around 50 there. This is really just gonna bring out those kind of grainy kind of pieces right here. And then we're gonna go into diffuse glow. This is gonna really bring out those white values. It's gonna kind of make it glow and pop a bit more. Graininess 6, glow amount 4, and clear amount 17. Feel free to play around with these, set it to whatever you'd like. Just for the sake of this though, I feel like this worked best. We're gonna hit OK. So now it's starting to look a little bit more like this design, but we still have this kind of boxy outline to it. So in order to get rid of that, we're gonna rasterize our layer. We're gonna go to our magic wand, and we're gonna select all of those values, and we are going to hit delete. Just make sure when you have your magic wand selected, contiguous is not checked. Have your tolerance set around, 40, 60, somewhere around there. That should work pretty well for us. So we're going to delete those, and now that image is looking a little bit more like that one right there. So with this base design image, we're going to duplicate it and we're going to bring it above. We're going to set this top layer above it to multiply. Multiply just kind of tightened up the image a little bit, gave it more of that vibe, kind of that feel that I wanted. And then we're going to go into our smart gallery on this duplicated image above here, and we're going to go to halftone patterns. So halftone pattern is going to give the kind of circle effect. I wanted to have the kind of texture of it fading into the black values above here, and then we're going to hit stamp. Stamp is going to flatten this image, just make it black and white values, kind of cleans it up a little bit, gets rid of that gray kind of glowy kind ofness to it. So with this, keep your smoothness a little bit lower, because if you bring it up a little bit too high, you're going to kind of lose those details. And then play around with that light and dark balance. I kept it at 38. Hit OK on that. So now we're going to duplicate that image above again. And keep in mind, every time you're duplicating your image and placing it above, just rasterize the image just so you can flatten it, just so we can add another filter gallery to it. So with this duplicated layer above, again, we're going to set this one to overlay. Overlay, as you can see, what it's doing here is it's really kind of bringing out that white kind of glow, that mysteriousness to it. And it's still just kind of tightening it up a little bit more. On this overlay layer, we're going to go back into the filter gallery again. We're going to go to our halftone pattern again, and for this halftone effect, I've been keeping it at around 5, just because I think if you go a little bit bigger, it kind of makes it a little bit clunky looking, and I find 5 works really well and it comes through on the print pretty nicely. And then for our torn edges effect here, this is going to kind of do the same thing as the stamp, make it kind of black and white values, but it just kind of gives a ruggedness to the edges, like that torn edge kind of effect. And play around with the image balance, the smoothness, and the contrast here. The image balance is basically just going to adjust the intensity of it and how much you want. Gonna hit OK on that. Alright, so we have our base design layer, we have our multiply layer with the filter gallery, and then we have our overlay layer with our filter gallery here. So it's really just kind of made the image pop out a little bit more, and it kind of brought those edges in just to give it that vibe. And since this design is for direct to garment, it's not for screen print, so that's why I haven't been color separating anything here. I'm just going to go ahead and slightly adjust those colors with a selective color. Those magentas and yellows, brought those up a little bit, just to give it a red kind of tinge. And then now to move on to the text. So for our base text layer here, I've got a bevel and emboss on it. The bevel and emboss is give that dimensionality on the top there, and then this stroke is going to just really fatten it up. This is just a white stroke with an outside position there. Then on the layer above, I just duplicated this base there, brought it up above again. This is going to be our glow layer. Now with this glow, I literally just went into the filter gallery. So what I did first here is I threw on a patchwork. I kept the square size to 0. As you can see, it gives it more of like, it almost lowers the quality of it, but I wanted it to kind of have that kind of feel and vibe. I wouldn't move it above to like 1 or 2 because it literally puts it this kind of square kind of grid on it, which is just not what we want for this. And then I just threw on another grain, enlarged, just cause I just wanted it to kind of have that kind of low quality kind of feel. And then texturizer, sandstone, just again, just kind of giving it a little bit of extra texture, a little bit of extra depth. We're gonna hit OK. So now we've got our glow. What we need to make the text really feel complete is we are going to have a black overlay here. So all I did for this is duplicated my original text layer and I kind of off-centered it and dragged it over, and then I put it into a group so that I could use a gradient map and clipping mask this gradient mask down below into the text. And to adjust the color of the gradient map, go inside here and I set it to kind of this bluish green kind of turquoise kind of color, and then I just had the black color there. Just be careful though for print. Glows do not come through because ink cannot print transparent ink. So anything less than 100% opacity will come out as this white kind of blockiness that you really just don't want. So you can just feel free to get rid of that glow. It's not entirely necessary. The design still looks really good. And then my favorite part is the texturing. So for the textures here, I started off with a really grungy kind of texture and I set that to multiply. It's just kind of like dirtying it up a little bit, just giving it those rugged kind of values there. And then on the layer above, I used another texture. This one's just really grunting it up, giving it that kind of vintage kind of feel. And I set this to lighten just because I wanted the design to still really punch through the texture. I didn't want the texture to darken it as you can see it would do for all these other ones here. And then I threw on a copy scan texture over top. Again, just set that to lighten. All that's doing is just adding in a little bit more of that grungy kind of effect. And yeah, there you have it. That's pretty much the design there. I will show you quickly actually this design printed. So this is it printed on the shirt there, and as you can see it came out really, really good. So as I mentioned before, this is direct-to-garment printing. Direct-to-garment printing is where the printer prints directly onto the shirt. So you put just the shirt under the machine, prints on it, does it in like 30 seconds to a minute, and bam, no color separation needed. It's going to basically replicate what it sees on the screen and it's going to put it right onto the shirt. And yeah, when I printed the design on the shirt, I took off the textures here just because I wanted the design to really stand out on the shirt still. I didn't want it to be all washed out. But yeah, that's everything I have for today, guys. I hope this video kind of sparked those creative juices. Don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to play around. And yeah, until next time, guys, hope you have a great day. And yeah, peace out.